Books represent humanity at its best and its worst.
To burn books is simply a fundamental repression of ideas.
I mean, what can a book do, and why is it so dangerous that it needs to be physically annihilated?
In 1933, the National Socialist German Workers' Party, called the Nazis for short, came to power in Germany and established a dictatorship under the leadership of Adolf Hitler. The Nazis intended to rearm Germany and to reorganize the German state on the principle that the German ethnic group or race was superior to all others in Europe. They suppressed all dissent within Germany, making it a crime to criticize the regime. The newly established Ministry of Propaganda and Enlightenment set up various chambers to control specific aspects of German culture, such as art, literature, theater, film, music, virtually all forms of entertainment and all forms of dissemination of news. In 1933, in April, Nazi German students decided to organize a nationwide book burning program to eliminate foreign influence, to purify German culture as they saw it.
So you have committees of students meeting with professors together, deciding what categories of books in these university libraries would count as un-German. They didn't see themselves as suppressing culture, they saw themselves as advancing Aryan German culture.
I remember very distinctly a conversation between my parents and some friends who were all shocked that a nation like the Germans, an educated, highly intelligent nation, would burn books. Books never hurt anybody.
The event that the students planned occurred on May 10th, 1933. In each German university city, 34 of them in all, thousands of people gathered together at a public place in which books that had been confiscated either by the students themselves or by Nazi party officials, often with the help of police, were brought and dumped in a pile. Student leaders exhorted their followers and the listening crowds to swear an oath by the fire to destroy and combat subversive and un-German literature.
For the national treason against our soldiers in World War I, we're burning Hemingway's books.
Joseph Goebbels, the propaganda minister himself, spoke at the book burning in Berlin.
Wird nicht nur ein Mensch des Buches, sondern auch ein Mensch des Charakters sein. Und dazu wollen wir euch erziehen.
It is amazing to me the variety of books that was burned on that night and thereafter.
Among the authors whose books were burned were Ernest Hemingway, both Mann brothers, Thomas and Heinrich.
There's the German writer, Erich Maria Remarque, who wrote the famous book All Quiet on the Western Front.
Helen Keller.
Jack London, the American nature writer. There's very little that unites all of these books, really, except that they were all considered dangerous by the Nazis.
A grand total of the number of volumes, perhaps best estimates, would be between 80 or 90,000 volumes. For weeks afterwards, books were confiscated from libraries, from bookshops, and from private collections. In 1939, the Nazi regime initiated what became the Second World War. During the course of this war, the Nazis began to implement their population policy.
There is a lot of debate in the West about the free flow of information on the internet. But in China, there is no debate. The government maintains tight control on what people inside the country can and can't see, making the World Wide Web not so wide. China runs the world's most complicated censorship machine. Many have joked that the Chinese internet is more like an intranet. It's a complex internet filtering system that China uses to block foreign websites. Try accessing Facebook or Twitter from inside China and you get this message. Even publications like the New York Times are blocked. China also censors the internet by passing laws and rules that flat out ban certain content that the government deems illegal or inappropriate. Prominent taboos include the 3 T's: Taiwan, Tibet, and Tiananmen. For example, if you search for Tiananmen Square from your computer here in Hong Kong, articles about the incident in 1989 come up in the results. But in China, these filtered results make no mention of it. China has come up with homemade alternatives for the popular social media platforms it has blocked, but these too are tightly controlled. The government actually requires Chinese internet companies to employ armies of human censors to police user-generated content on their platforms. We recently visited one company that has 1,200 people doing the job. One employee said it's like being a sanitation worker for cyberspace. If you are hoping to be anonymous on the web in China, forget about it. Chat apps, discussion forums, and video games all require you to enter your real name and also provide your national ID number and phone number for registration. China also requires internet companies to store user data on local servers and to allow authorities to inspect them when they deem necessary. So while many in the West are up in arms about privacy and freedom of speech online, in China, users know that Big Brother is watching closely and has been doing so for a long time.
이 조선 이끄는 힘 5세대다 인민의 운명을 한 몸에 안고 우리가 바라는 분갈이 이상 모두 다 덮여주실 분 위대한 김정은 동지 우리는 당신밖에 모른다 위대한 김정은 동지
Мы только начинаем свой путь в мире, о котором знаем очень мало. Мы научились понимать, что такое хорошо и что такое плохо, опираясь на очевидное. И нас пугает все, чего мы не знаем или не понимаем, даже если это неплохо. Здравствуйте! Вы смотрите открытый урок Института воспитания «Защитники мира». И сегодня мы поговорим о том, что поможет нам разобраться во всем, что происходит. Мы поговорим о событиях на Украине.
Украинский кризис начался не вчера. И вообще дело не в Украине. И распространяют кадры якобы войны в Украине, но на самом деле других военных конфликтов. Кто-то даже берет кадры из компьютерных игр, прикладывает звук и выдает за правду. Именно так. И таких фейков, поверь мне, очень много. И с каждым днем их становится все больше и больше. Ракета, попавшая в детский сад, колонна разрушенных танков, сбитые самолеты. И прежде чем размещать какую-либо информацию в социальных сетях, обязательно необходимо проверить достоверность этих источников. И все, что вы сейчас видите, анализируете и критически воспринимайте. Только после этого верьте тому, что пишут те, на кого вы подписаны в социальных сетях.